Suppose you're playing this game as white, and your opponent makes the move bishop to e5. Does anything jump out at you? Well, if the answer is no, then you might need to work on your mating nets. This is actually a very sneaky move, which is setting up a mating net, and if I'm not careful, I could just lose the game immediately. Now, a lot of you probably are in a habit of checking for back rank mate, but you'll notice that I've got that covered, and you probably thought nothing to worry about. And so maybe you would consider a move like moving your rook here, let's just say, to attack the bishop. This is actually a huge blunder. And the reason has to do with this move, bishop to e5, was actually setting up a mating net. And it has to do with the fact that the rook can come down with check. And when I try to escape, bishop to f1 check. And notice how my king cannot get out because this bishop is cutting off the escape route. This is a mating net. I'm forced to go back here. Doesn't matter where I go. The bishop comes over and I'm checkmated. The game is over. And I noticed this because I was looking for the idea of a mating net around my king. See, it's not just a back rank checkmate. There's more to it than that, and you have to look at the other pieces to see how could they potentially trap your king. And I noticed that in this position, my king had lots of options to escape, but as soon as the bishop came here, there's another bishop here, I started to realize, wait a second, my king might get trapped if the rook comes down, okay? And so that's why it's critical that you understand this idea of mating nets. All right, so let's keep going. How did I deal with this? Or actually, you guys can tell me, what do you think I should do to stop the threat of rook c1 check? If you had a chance to look at that, it's actually a very difficult threat to stop, right? You can't use your rook because it's covered. You can't control the back rank because your rook can't get there. You can't really try to escape this way because the bishop is still there. You're very limited in what you can do. So I decided to just move my king up and to preemptively get out of the check so that there's no longer that threat. Now my opponent still played rook c1, and he's still trying to do the same thing, right? Bishop to f1 check, and I'm trapped. So what did I play here to stop this? You got a chance to look at that. The move is knight to e3, basically just controlling the square so the bishop can't go there. I'll just take it, right? And so very important that you paid attention to that. Now, watch what happens as the game goes on. He plays bishop here. I played g5. Now, can anyone tell me why I played g5? If you had a chance to look at that, it has to do with, guess what? Mating nets. I actually noticed a mating net on black's king, but I needed this pawn to be here to control the escape routes. This is something super common. Whenever there's a king that could potentially, if you at some point put it in check, could potentially come up and maybe run away, if you can use a pawn to limit the king's escape routes, that can be very, very beneficial. And that's what I'm doing here. Now, you say, Nelson, I still don't see a mating net. What are you talking about? Well, I've seen this pattern in my brain where the king is on g7, the white rook would be on g8, and there's a bishop defending it. Can you guys imagine that with me? Bishop, rook, king. Bishop slicing across. The king is attacking. The rook is attacking the king, and it's trapped because of this pawn. Do you see how that's checkmate? There's nowhere for the king to go. So right at this position, I started to think about, wait a second, maybe I could do something here with my knight coming in. Also, maybe even the knight jumping over here. If the bishop ever leaves, that's another mating pattern where the knight is defending the rook. And in all those situations, the pawn on g5 is going to be beneficial to me. Okay, so that's why I played g5, trying to set that up. My opponent played bishop to d4. And what do you think I played here? Well, if you had a chance to look at that, I played rook to g8 check. And why? Because I am noticing, wait a second, I'm getting closer to that checkmate pattern that we talked about. And if you're wondering, wait, what about the bishop? Well, what do you guys think I did about that? Because right now I can't do it, right? Because the bishop is controlling the diagonal. So how do I fix that problem? Well, if you had a chance to look at that, I just take it. My knight's sitting there, right? I just take that guy. And when he takes me back, what do? Well, now that you've been following along with me with the mating net, you know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to play bishop to d5. And look at this. It's even better because it's a fork. I'm not only threatening to checkmate, I'm also threatening the rook. And guess what? Black can't stop both of them. You could choose. Do you want to save your rook and get checkmated like this? Or do you want to stop the checkmate somehow and lose your rook? There's no other option. You can't go here. I just take it. And all this happened. I think the game ended here, or actually, I think I did finish it in checkmate. But all this happened because way back here, I identified, wait a second, maybe there is a potential mating net, right? I was looking at capturing the bishop. I was looking at bringing my bishop in. I was looking at throwing in a check and coming over here, right? And I knew that I needed to stop the king from escaping. And so the mating net, it's super powerful in chess. It's super powerful because you corner the king in a way with your pieces. And it's a lot of times it opens up tactics exactly like what we saw here. So I hope this was helpful to you guys. And it's more common than you think. A lot of people just don't know how to look for it and don't set up the mating nets properly, but it's very, very powerful. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time. Stay sharp, play smart, and take care.